It's been a while since I've done a video. It's mostly because I don't feel like I've gotten a whole lot accomplished this month, last month, July, because I was gone traveling for work a lot. But now that I think about it, there's a lot that you haven't seen since the last video. I did start a channel, so most of the videos between this one and the last one I posted on Facebook are on that channel. And they're mostly about getting the beams up in the air. I'll show you those right now. So the beams are in place. They're leveled. I built this 2x4 frame to show me, just so I could visualize the footprint. It's not going to be pushed that far forward. I actually have it just out of the way right now. But I needed this also to make plumb lines. You can see evidence of those there. The plumb lines are for to show me where I should dig the two back footings. So here's the deepest of the two footings. I'll explain why I have cinder blocks down there in a second. But yeah, so I needed two main supports because the other two steel beams are going to come back on these edges here and that one over there. So they're acting like girders, and they're going to rest on these footings. So initially, as you can see, I was going to do cinder block forms, stack up, mortar, level, and then fill the inner cores, which I'm still going to do. But I dug this really big hole and I actually had a lot of help. Thank you, Jake, Sam, Wayne, James, Katie, my parents. And it feels like such a waste to have this huge hole and only use a portion of it, because that's just where they ended up being. But I've also done all this work getting those cinder blocks in the perfect spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour the footing around and on top of those cinder blocks, but I'm going to leave the inner cores exposed. How am I going to do that? Like this. I made these today in Portland because I'm much more efficient working there. But I'll show you some of the details. It's not that complicated. I just have 4 walls for each inner form, and those are the white pieces of wood, and they're primed, so they'll be a little easier to demold once the concrete is formed. And then there's these brackets, and those are just going to get captured into the concrete, and that's okay. That'll just be there forever. So this is the other hole, and it's not as deep, obviously, but I hit a bunch of roots and a bunch of rocks, and I felt scared about going any further because I didn't want to kill the trees that are the most important thing to this whole project. So it's about 2.5 feet deep on the upslope side and only about 8 inches deep on the downslope side, so I'll backfill and hopefully they'll be below the frost line, then they'll be okay. So I've got a bunch of rebar in here. That was the other reason I wanted to do it this way, because I'm only going to fill the concrete to this line here, and that'll make it easier to demold these forms, because I can just hammer them. I'll hammer these side ones first, and then these longer ones second. But I have these little notches cut so that I could extend rebar across both cores, and this one too. And that way the footing will be connected to the inner cores. And so you might actually also wonder, Jared, why didn't you just stack more cinder blocks and then just fill it up to like halfway? But the reason I didn't do that is because then the whole weight would still be only on the cinder blocks. This way there's going to be a little bit of overlap, and hopefully that's enough that it'll distribute that weight throughout the entire hole, which is, like I said, it would be sad to dig this whole huge hole and only use a 24 by 16 piece of it. So the other good thing about this is I'm mixing all of the concrete by hand in this tub here, because I don't want to deal with the mixer and all the things that go along with that. So by leaving the cinder blocks in there, I'm reducing the amount of concrete I have to mix for this initial pour. And I'm also reducing, like if I did this all at once, I would need a whole lot of concrete. So by splitting it up, I can do it over a period of a few days. If I get this one wrong, I'll learn a lot and I can do something different for the next time. So I may do this tomorrow morning before it gets too hot. I have to get up at like 4 so that by the time it's cured, it'll still only be 80 degrees, but we'll see. I haven't really decided. It depends on work tomorrow. So that's the major update. I don't think there's anything else that you missed.